How do I not raise a traumatized kid, Bessel? Because I'm going to have kids probably quite soon, hopefully. And I don't want to raise
How do you
traumatized
train?
kids.
Be sure to listen to people in your environment. Don't raise them by yourself. I think raising a kid by yourself, you'll give the full brunt of your own pathology leaved on your kid. So it's very important for a kid to be raised by a number of people. So the kid gets to say, oh, my dad is a little bit reactive, but my neighbor across the street is much calmer. And so the kid gets to see multiple perspectives, as all of us idealize African villages as people having many different parents who look after you.
It takes a village.
It takes a village. I think kids need to be really part of a larger environment where they can see their parents as safe people, but also flawed people. And the more nuclear you get, the harder it gets to keep your pathology out of your kid's life, actually. So community is everything, also in terms of raising a child.
Is there anything that you think is healing towards trauma, childhood trauma, all forms of trauma that we haven't talked about?
Well, the critical issue is that trauma is about being helpless and nobody coming to your rescue. And so it's very important to have the experience that if you really cannot do something or you're scared, that somebody comes to your help at this point. And then you get an imprint that even when I feel really bad, somebody will come and be there for me. And that is what many people miss. When you have a drunken parent, so we see this all the time in our practice, people have a violent parent, usually the father, but not always. And then mom or dad, in my case, mom or dad and my mom, turns a blind eye and doesn't say, I'll take care of you, even though the other parent is hurting you. And that betrayal of a parent to let the other parent do terrible things to them and not really say, no, you cannot do this to my kid, is a huge thing for many people.
It's interesting.
Yeah. It is having bystanders who do not come to your help. A very big deal. Yeah.
And the way to recover from that is to counteract it with adult information.
Yeah, it's having life experiences where people come to your help. And I think being part of a sports team, being part of a theater group, being part of a musical group, where people really feel, now it's your turn, come in, and you say, I think the issue of rhythmicity and synchronicity is really at the core of our internal sense of safety and belonging. Yeah.
Bessel, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who they're leaving it for. And the question that's been left for you is, what do you believe is the question that the audience have just heard this conversation are screaming down the camera?
The question is, where do I get the help I need? I think that's really the big thing, because it is so hard. It is such an exploration. Almost everybody who I know who have found a way of getting better has been an explorer. And quite an accidental explorer. And then I found this karate teacher, and then I found this yoga teacher, and then I found this psychodramatist. And then but it's very largely accidental. That I think the mainstream is not on the right road. So you have to discover what works for you. And that's a very tough one, because you'll feel stupid and ignorant. And if something is not helping you, it is very hard for you for yourself. This is not helping me because this person is not helping me. Rather than blaming yourself, there must be something wrong with me that is not helpful for you. And making that distinction is a very tough one. I know it from my experience. I've been in treatments for long periods of time, despite all my qualifications, where it took me a long time to go I'm wasting my time and my money. And if you don't have my education and background, it's even harder to say I'm wasting my time and my money. Yeah.
It was interesting, as you were speaking, I was reflecting on the things that, I was thinking a lot about this idea of community, and you're talking about how being in sports teams helps. And I was thinking about in my adult life, in some of my most difficult times, when things were difficult and I went and played football or a some kind of sports with a group of people, I just felt radically better. And I think actually I put it down to, oh, well, because, I did some exercise. But actually I think there's something deeper.
Oh, no. It's that connection. Passing that ball, somebody catching it. I made a difference. Playing music. My little piece of music that I made a better place. Being in a theater group. Being a cook. There's many dimensions along which you can do that.
Many of us, especially I think, adult men don't have these kind of things. I mean, we go to watch Manchester United play or something like that. We go to the football ground, but maybe we need to fill our lives with more of these things.
Yeah, we do, I think. And we should say it to ourselves because I need to do more of that also.
We kind of just assume that society is designed in such a way where it'll give us what we need.
Yeah.
But in fact, if you think about the loneliness stats and the way things, even like the pub is less pubs on the high street, shutting down across the UK, and less community centres. The church is...
A good example is I grew up singing all the time. And people around me made me sing in schools. And then we got iPods. Aren't we lucky we get iPods? And then before too long, you stop singing and you start listening to your iPod. Mm-hmm. And so technology has been an unbelievable blessing, and what a curse it has been for us.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favour. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.